Omegle, a website where you are randomly connected to any stranger on the internet. Some encounters may be fun, wholesome, or may be just a good way to pass the time. But most of the time, it can turn dark, disturbing, and downright creepy. I mean, it's the internet and you're talking to any rando on it. Things can turn sketch pretty fast. But this is what we will be getting into in today's video. Omegle and the weird and disturbing stories that people tell from spending time on there. And the video will be pretty short, but let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see another one like this in the future. And also please subscribe to the channel. We are trying to reach 250,000 subs by the end of the year, and I really think we can do it. So please consider joining the community and subscribing. But anyways, without further ado, welcome to Reddit Omegle Stories. What we did on Omegle. I can't believe I'm here right now. I can't believe I'm actually typing, much less looking at a computer screen after what happened. But I had no other choice. Rick told me about r/no sleep and said that there are people who are really helpful when it comes to things like this. Maybe you guys could help figure out what's going on, because we have no idea what just happened or what to do next. As you've probably gathered from the title, my story obviously involves the website Omegle. I've been told over and over and over again about how shady this website is. I myself have experienced some shady things from all the times I've been on the site, but being the overly curious, thrill-seeking teenagers that we are, my friends and I continue to visit it, sneaking out a laptop and staying up late hours just to see what we could find. It happened one night at Rick's house. There were 6 of us at the time: Rick, Trevor, Kevin, Charlie, Sam, and myself. It was around midnight, and we knew that Rick's parents were dead asleep by then, so we snuck out his laptop and went on Omegle. For the first hour, we saw the usual stuff: hot chicks in lacy underwear, douches laying in the bed with their camera tilted directly at their abs, some innocent 10-year-olds, lots of boobs and ass, several erect penises, which we immediately disconnected from, and some male senior citizens. Kind of creepy, but I mean, what do you expect from a site like Omegle? We decided to chat with one more person before heading to bed. We had absolutely no idea what to expect when we clicked next. The video feed was completely black on the other person's end. We thought that he or she forgot to turn on his or her webcam, so Rick typed out, "Your webcam is off." A few minutes later, the person on the other side replied, "I can see you." The 6 of us looked closely at the screen, and that's when we saw it. 2 eyes staring directly back at us from the darkness. In case you guys were wondering, no, they weren't demon eyes or whatever eyes. They were 100% human, at least from what I saw, and that's all we could see. No nose, no mouth, not even an outline of a face. The hairs on the back of my neck were already prickling. Rick typed again, "ASL?" The person didn't reply. He just stared at us. His deep black eyes seemed to scan us one by one, as if trying to read our minds through the computer screen. I could hear his heavy breathing through Rick's speakers. I felt Trevor tense up next to me and saw that the other guys were just as tense. This guy was seriously freaking us out. After an eternity, the person sent a message before disconnecting. "I'll see you soon." We were quiet the whole night. We were all wide awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering who that person was. He could have been any random person like all the other people on Omegle, but his presence on the other side of the screen was just so unsettling, terrifying even. Finally, Charlie broke the silence. What did he mean by "I'll see you soon"? "I don't ever want to see him soon, that's for damn sure," said Sam, his voice tight. "Maybe we shouldn't go on Omegle for a while," said Rick. "Who knows who that guy is? Or what he could do," said Kevin. I shivered under my blankets. "What if it's just a prank?" wondered Trevor. "I mean, he could just be trolling or something." "Guys, stop," I said. Finally having enough, let's just get some sleep and not talk about this anymore. And we did stop talking about it. In fact, after a month, it felt like it never happened. Sure, I had dreams now and then about those black, lifeless eyes staring at me, but I brushed it off. I had more important things to worry about than an internet troll. The sleepover at Charlie's was a night we would never forget. It was just Kevin, Rick, Sam, and I at his house at that time. Trevor had a family dinner that night, and he couldn't come. It was 3 a.m. I was in the middle of kicking Kevin's ass at Mario Kart when Sam suddenly spoke up. "Hey guys," he said. "You want to try going on Omegle again?" Are you stupid? Said Charlie. What if we see creepy eyes again? But there are so many people on Omegle, Sam reasoned out. The chances of that happening are like 1 in a million. You know, Sam has a point, agreed Rick. Maybe if you go online, he won't be there. He'd probably be terrorizing someone else. Kevin, Charlie, and I exchanged skeptical looks. I knew it was a horrible idea, but they did have a point. We might just skip him. All right, I said, not believing the words that were coming out of my mouth. Let's try it. We opened Charlie's computer and went to Omegle. It was the same as last time. Chicks, dicks, ass, tits, kids, old people, foreigners, all the same stuff we were used to. We gave it an hour of skipping video chats before we decided that the person was truly gone. Suddenly, I saw something strange in one of the chat boxes. The video on the side didn't show a person or genitalia or whatever. I looked closely and saw that it looked like a road of some sort. It was completely silent. Cars passed by. There was no one around. What the hell? Breathed Sam. We watched as the camera began to walk down the street, passing by closed shops and dimly lit gas stations, and finally turning into a small suburb. My skin began to crawl. Something was very wrong, and yet we couldn't stop watching. The camera turned from street to street, hiding behind trees and streetlights. It glanced over some houses closed off for the night until it finally rested on one house at the end of the street. That was when my heart sank to my stomach. I wished it wasn't real. I wished the 6 of us weren't seeing what we were seeing. But that was Trevor's house, and we were watching someone break in. The camera found the spare key Trevor's mom hid so carefully in one of her garden pots and entered the back door. It crept silently, stealthily up the stairs and made its way to the end of the hall, to Trevor's room. We were too shocked, too terrified to even move a muscle. I decided to do the smartest thing at the moment. I grabbed up Charlie's phone and called 911. 911, what's your emergency? Hello, someone is breaking into my best friend's house. My whole body was shaking. A hand closed around the doorknob of Trevor's room. Are you currently in the house, sir? The door opened and the camera stepped inside. I felt Charlie's hand grip the side of my shirt. No, we're seeing it happen on a webcam. I can't explain. Look, the person is in his room right now. Send someone now. Please give us the address of the house. We'll send a team over right away. I was practically screaming the address of the operator. We were all hysterical. The camera was directly above Trevor's sleeping form. We were screaming at Trevor to wake up, but Trevor didn't seem to hear us. We were shaking Charlie's computer, as if it would do something to get rid of the creep in his room. We didn't care if we woke the neighbors. We needed to save our best friend. Then Trevor began to stir. His eyes fluttered open, then widened with shock. His mouth opened to scream before it was clamped firmly down with a cloth. Then we were disconnected. We sat there in shock. There was no way to connect back. Our best friend was just kidnapped before our eyes, and we couldn't do anything. So that's where we are now, helpless as fuck, and still trying to find a solution. I don't know if you guys could help us, but this is the only solution we have. Please, we need to find Trevor. We need to find our best friend. Update. The police came to Trevor's house minutes too late. Trevor was already gone, and all they could do was inform his parents that their son was indeed missing. The guys and I were frustrated. If we called sooner, maybe Trevor would have been saved. Maybe they would have caught the guy before we took him. We were just too scared. The next day, as I checked my emails, I found one from an unknown sender that contained a video file. I opened it and fell out of my seat. It was Trevor, naked and unconscious. He was strapped to a chair, his eyes and mouth tied with dirty white handkerchiefs. His body was covered in deep cuts. Blood was streaming down the side of his face, which was streaked with dried tears. The camera, after focusing so long on him, moved up to the wall behind him. On it, in dark red letters, were 4 words. I'll see you soon. Omegle has some creepy people. Some of you may have heard of the website Omegle.com. If you haven't, it's a chat website people go to when they're bored and it's anonymous. It's up to you to give out your information, but you can easily get out of a conversation and move on to talk to a new person with a click. Around 2012, I went on this website a lot as I got lonely, and I've had some nice conversations on there. I was 16 at the time. This is where I met Emily. She was this funny girl who was so easy to talk to. Right away, I felt like we had been friends forever, so I gave her my Skype to talk again. Pretty soon, we were talking all day, every day for a few months. She said she was from Wales, which I thought was cool. I've never met anyone from Wales. I thought she was the best friend I had never had. We talked about everything going on in her life. She would tell me crazy stories about the things she'd done with her friends. We'd talk about relatable girl stuff. And I would wake up to a Photoshop picture of us and cats and some bad pun written on it about us being best friends forever. or something stupid like that. We texted all the time, but I wanted to actually call her or video, but she told me she had gotten into an argument with her stepdad recently and threw her laptop at a wall and it broke the camera. Right, well, I thought maybe she can text on Skype and I'll be on video and voice just so she can see me. Why not? When we did, she wouldn't stop going on about how jealous she was of me and told me to stop being so beautiful, and it flattered me. I thought she was gorgeous in her pictures, and it was silly of her to be jealous of me at all. Emily was kind of a clinging girl, as she wanted my attention all the time and would get upset if I fell asleep or didn't respond fast enough. She also started making strange comments about her body, like saying how she thinks she has an ugly vagina and is worried about it, and called it a coin slot. And she'd ask if I'd look at it and tell her if it's weird, to which I would just tell her, I'm sure it's fine, don't worry about it. And she said, I bet yours has sparkles and magic. I could tell she was trying to get a picture out of me. I didn't do it. I changed the subject. Emily would talk about the guy that works at her market, and now she has a big crush on him, but was too awkward to say anything. I encouraged her through time to talk to him, and eventually she got the nerve and asked him out. The night she told me this, I remember her asking this question out of the blue. If I was a guy, what name do you think I'd have? Suddenly, I had this sinking feeling inside. Reading this, as I realized I never heard her voice or saw her in video. She could actually be a guy this whole time. Could she? Nah, she's just trying to scare me. She tries to get reactions all the time, and her photos add up to everything she talks about. I have nothing to worry about. I decide to join in. John? I was hoping you'd say Jacob. That's weird. But once again, I thought she was just being her weird self, and we moved on to talking about other things. I did tell her she almost scared me, though, and she laughed and apologized. One night comes along, and we're talking as normal. She asked me what state I lived in. I told her because I thought maybe she wanted to see what it looked like compared to where she lives on Google or something. Then she goes, You're only 500 miles away from me. Haha, I'm pretty sure you're more than 500. From Alabama, you're only 500 away. That's totally where I am. No, you're not. Yep, I go to blank school. I look up this school, and sure enough, it's in Alabama. But you can easily just look for a school on Google Maps, so I thought she was making stuff up to get more reactions. Hey, Strawberry Fields 95. I fixed my camera. We can video chat tonight if you want. Yeah, I was so excited. We had talked for 2 months, and I finally get to see her instead of pictures and text. I get set up all in the living room and call her. She answered. You know when you feel frozen with fear and time feels slow? That first second, when I saw him, I thought, maybe that's her brother or friend, and she's going to move the camera to her. Nope, it's just him, while I'm frozen and speechless. He picks up one of his laptops and signs in as Emily to show me that it's him doing all this. He doesn't say anything. He then pulls out a camera and points it towards me. I finally told myself to end the call before he takes a picture. Why did he take his camera out? I don't know, but I try to process everything while my heart is pounding, and even though he may not be near me physically, it was still very creepy and disturbing to me. I pulled myself together and decided to try to get answers. I wrote him simply, why? And he says, I was dared by some friends to pretend I was a girl on Omegle, but I thought you were really cool, so I kept it up. I stopped talking to the other guys, though, just you. I wanted to keep talking to you. Guess what his name was? Jacob. He was 21, or so he said, and he's from Alabama. I couldn't understand how he kept up with his fake life with Emily every day, and even have pictures to make it all seem so legit. It was almost like Emily was real and died that night. This girl in these pictures, who were they? I felt as if she was still out there, but she doesn't exist. Jacob from Omegle? Let's not meet. A smiling girl on Omegle. I just got home from my friend's funeral about 25 minutes ago. I've never cried in front of so many people I didn't know. I recognized his family and our other friends, of course, but there were so many kids from my high school there, I assumed they read the newspaper report. Young man found lacerated in his bedroom. No suspect found. Was all over our local newspaper. It must have been shocking. He was the second one so far in graduating class to die. The first one was drug-related, kept pretty quiet. This one, however, has been the talk of the town for about a week now. I guess people were just curious. The death left so many unanswered questions in everyone's heads. The cops couldn't figure out just what exactly happened to him. I want to tell them I know, but I don't think they'd believe me. I've decided to post this here because maybe someone here could help me understand what happened. Also, most of you are probably more open to what I witnessed. So last month, me and a couple of buddies were drinking and watching some TV, bored out of our minds. I say bored because I believe we were watching reruns of the game show, Press Your Luck. You know, no whammy. Anyway, eventually one of our friends put the idea of the website Omegle out there. We thought we were so original going on Omegle drunk. We were laughing our asses off, spouting insults and pressing next before the person could respond. The friend in charge of pressing next, the friend who died, would always stop on attractive girls and flirt, usual Omegle shit. It was stupid, pointless fun. I remember we just spouted off insults and my friend hit me. The next screen came up white. My friend almost hit next, but hesitated. Through the speakers, you could hear a low humming sound. It sounded like an air conditioner. "Hello?" my friend said, with his finger hovering over the enter key. We all sat staring at the screen for a bit, none of us just thinking of reaching over and nexting away the strangeness. I couldn't understand at all why, but with every second the uneasiness in me grew. Finally, my friend hit the next button. However, when the next screen appeared, the same low hum could be heard. This time, in place of the white screen, there was an image of an ordinary bedroom. It was very dark, so you couldn't see much room. All we could see was lit up by what I assume was the computer screen. The shot included a bed and a little dresser off to the right side of the room. Okay, so the person had left their computer. No big deal. The mystery was solved and my friend hit next. But every next was met with the same dark room and strange humming noise. I was really uneasy by this point, and finally a girl appeared in the dark room, which made us all jump a bit. The girl had dark black hair that seemed to mix with the darkness of the room. But other than that, she looked like an average 18 to 20-year-old girl. My friend, who was at the keyboard, smirked and greeted the girl. She seemed to notice because she jerked her head in his direction and smiled. When I say smile, I mean teeth showing, like you would for a school picture. It was very eerie looking, as you can imagine. She had her head cocked a bit back and to the left, so it looked as if she was staring down at him. He turned pale white and just sat and stared back. We were all freaked out. We didn't want this girl to look at us, at least I didn't. She never broke the stare, though. My friend finally just slowly closed the lid of his laptop, eyes locked with the girl, almost all the way down. We all just sat in silence for a few seconds before we burst out laughing. We all joked how she must have been heavy on drugs or something. She really liked me, my friend boasted with a chuckle. We went back to watching game shows for a bit before we all parted ways that night. Everything was fine and pretty uneventful for about a week or two. Early this month, my friend who had been stared down by the strange woman texted me saying how he thought he'd seen that smiling girl while he was walking around at the mall. He said he was in line to get some food when he glanced over his shoulder and saw a girl grinning at him from across the food court. He said he blinked and she was gone. He wasn't too concerned with it, as he said he was high at the time. So then, about a week later, he called me really late at night, waking me up. He sounded pretty urgent, saying he thought he heard something in the kitchen. I'd gotten one call like this before from him when he had gotten way too high and he thought his grandma was at his door. He was crying and blubbering. It was quite a laugh. I began to talk, saying something about him being on drugs, when he hushed me and told me he'd just gotten home from work and he wasn't on anything. Then, in a hushed tone, he said, "I'm putting the phone on speaker. Listen." And I heard the tone of him pressing the speaker button. At first, I heard nothing but his breathing and chuckled a bit. But before I could call my buddy out for overreacting, I heard a slight thump. It followed by another thump that was a bit louder. They sounded like footsteps. And whatever it was walking towards my friend's room. I could hear his heavy breathing, and then he whimpered out, "It's outside my room." I could hear a slight scratch on the door. He was breathing so loud that at this point it could definitely tell he was in there. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it had stopped. I could hear my friend's breathing get less panicked. He then said he thought it was gone and that he was going to check it out, followed by the sound of the door creaking open. It was silent for about a minute before he got back on and said, "Sorry about that. The coast is clear. Thank you," and hung up. The week after all this, everything seemed fine again until Friday. I was sick and decided to stay in. I was just messing around on social media and Reddit when I got a message from my friend saying, "You're home on Friday?" "Get your webcam, I have to show you something." I was hesitant, hoping it wasn't him having a party and trying to brag by showing me. It was a stupid thought, but he had done it before. To my surprise, when we connected, it was him in his room, in the dark, only illuminated by a screen. He looked a bit pale, but nothing was really off. He said hi and brought up when we had been on Omegle and seen that girl. He said that he had been seeing her around and he was sure she was following him. I immediately started laughing. "You're kidding," I said to him, but his face stayed serious. He reached down and rolled his long sleeves up, revealing deep crimson gashes all down his arm. He said that he'd woken up the night before and she was in the corner of his room, staring at him with a big, toothy smile. He said he blacked out and woke up with gashes all on his arms and legs, and then he put his arm closer to reveal that she'd actually carved out the word "smile" over and over, all down his arm. I was speechless. I thought my friend was crazy and was about to call him out when a familiar sound filled my ears, the humming noise from that night. It was so distinct. My friend began to cry as he slowly turned his head to the right where the humming was coming from. And just when his eyes met whatever was in there, he smiled a big grin and the webcam feed went black. I closed out the webcam app, shook up, and went on the internet immediately to try to distract myself. On Facebook, I saw I had one new message from my friend. All it said was, "Smile." They found him the next day with his whole body covered in gashes from head to toe. Although they never mentioned in the gashes, all had said "smile," like the ones he had shown me. In his coffin, his face was frozen in a big grin, staring straight up. When I went to say my last goodbye, I decided to confirm what I had seen and pulled his sleeve up a little bit. The word "smile" was indeed carved all over it. That's really all, guys. I hope someone can explain what happened. Was it just the drugs he did? And did he do it to himself? Was he crazy? I hope he was crazy, because today at the funeral, in the entire crowd of unfamiliar faces, one stood out. It was a girl with black hair, and she was smiling at me. And alright guys, that wraps up Reddit Omegle stories, and I enjoyed this video. It's unique, and let me know if you'd like to see other sort of online platforms like Reddit YouTube horror stories, or Reddit, Twitter horror, I don't know, just like any other social media ones, Reddit Twitch stories, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below, what Reddit stories would you like to see in the future? Please let me know. I'm open to all the ideas. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot. Please subscribe to the channel, and yeah, until next time, see ya.